What's up, movie nerds? It's your girl CC, and let's get candid about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Alright, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. This was the first ever Mission Impossible that I've ever watched. Like, ever.
Excuse me?
Which then, caused me to actually want to watch the first movie. That is to say, I really enjoyed Mission Impossible 8.
I can't believe it.
Honestly, there were parts of this movie that probably would have been more understandable if I watched the other movies in the series. But all in all, after the first 10 minutes of the movie, it was perfectly easy to understand and it stood by itself as a standalone movie.
Like for real, for real.
And considering I knew nothing about the franchise and I still enjoyed it thoroughly and understood the story, I say this movie gets a pat on the back for that. Usually if you're watching a movie that is a part of a series, if you don't watch the ones before it, you won't understand the one that you're watching.
But this is different.
Although, having said that, I do recommend you watch the first Mission Impossible before you watch this movie, because the first 10 minutes of this movie does spoil basically all of the first movie.
Well, this sucks.
Which is too bad, but I still enjoyed the first movie, actually. Anyway, I really enjoyed this movie, even the couple of parts that seemed kind of unrealistic. But that's why it's called Mission Impossible, right? Not Mission kind of almost impossible, so it is realistic.
Time to nut up or shut up.
But that's just my initial review of the movie. Keep on watching to see the full review and whether or not you want to give this movie a shot. There will be spoilers and reasons for the rating.
You have been warned.
And let's get this party started.
I mean, really, let's do this, mother.
First up is acting, which I give an 8 out of 10. I thought the acting in this movie was really well done. The emotional scenes had good heart, there was great suspense and concern when need be, and everyone felt real to their characters.
Wasn't that just magnificent?
I felt connected to the characters mostly all of the time due to their belief in the role. Now, I didn't really care for the acting of the woman on the submarine. It just didn't feel right. It just didn't.
There is no flavor.
But everyone else did their job really well. I mean, this movie had quite the star-studded cast, and it showed. Plus, for an almost 3-hour movie, the acting kept me hooked the entire time. Nothing felt off, so that's great.
I laughed, I cried, it moved me, Bob.
Next is the story and script, which I also give an 8 out of 10. I thought that the story was pretty awesome, and a good ending to what seems to be the final movie in this series, and an end to an era. I mean, honestly, I really thought that the Mission Impossible movies were gonna give the Fast and Furious movies a run for their money in longevity.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
This was an almost 3-hour movie, and the story and script felt cohesive the entire time, just fully formed together and kept the audience drawn in the entire time. Like, I was right there in the movie for the full 3 hours, and it was great.
No kidding.
I felt like the story started and ended at a good pace, and everything in between was done just as well. Sometimes the suspense was a little bit drawn out too much, like it just made you feel anxious for way too long, or maybe that's just me. But really, it did quite well for the movie. No real complaints there, you know what I mean?
No, it's perfect.
Plus, everything turned out okay at the end, so I'm okay with the suspense. I only had 2 gripes with this story. One was that a major character did die, and it was just really too bad, but I guess this is the last film of the series, so you won't be upset if he's not in the next one, because there is no next one.
Well, now I'm sad.
And the second gripe is the submarine mission. I think it could have been written a little bit better, especially the part where he takes his whole wetsuit off. I really don't believe that a human could survive at those depths and at those temperatures without a regulated wetsuit.
Dude, that is so unrealistic.
And at the end, he also got really banged up on that airplane scene. Like, he was just being thrown all around, hitting his head left and right, and he still held on. I would have totally let go at that point. But that's why we all love Mission Impossible, because it's impossible, right?
This just went from Mission Impossible to Mission and freaking Sanity.
So I don't fault it too much. It was fun, it was great, and it was cool to see how a character could just keep on trucking, even when all the odds were stacked against him.
I can't believe we did it.
Next is the theme, which I give a 7 out of 10. Obviously, saving the world from destruction and an AI overlord is a bang-up theme, so I give it 2 thumbs up. Now, I would have liked to see the team stay together at the end, but I guess it is the end of the series, so I can look past it.
And we're a team, right?
Now for the details, which I give an 8 out of 10. The details were pretty great in terms of sets and props. I mean, they are pretty standard for most movies and, you know, for the Mission Impossible series. I thought that the sets and the props and all the places that they were very perfect for the movie, like just captured each part perfectly.
5 members of his own IMF team.
Plus, I also liked the really cool face masks that made, you know, one person look like another person. However they did that, it didn't look like CGI. It kind of looked real when he pulled it off, so it was really cool. I don't know how they did that, but it was really cool. Plus, it's awesome that they were on location for a good bit of this movie and not just in some big green screen warehouse.
Salzburg is just, it's breathtakingly beautiful. What an absolutely remarkable place to be able to film.
I like practicality because then it makes the movie feel that much more real, so kudos. It's really sad that you have to say that movies without a whole bunch of CGI are outliers these days. CGI is being relied on too much.
Stop using it as a crutch!
But where I think the details really shined was with the stunt work. I never knew just how much Tom Cruise did for these movies until the promotion of this movie began. Then you started to see all kinds of behind the scenes stuff about everything that he did in this movie. I mean, there was one part of this movie where he was just on that airplane while it was going up and down and all over the place, just hanging by a thread. Granted, it was a very strong thread, a very safe thread, but he was still up on that airplane just dangled around. That's crazy. I think it's really cool just how much he's done for these movies, how much the filmmakers allow him to do, and all while in his 60s.
We all know it's a dangerous environment. They've developed hand signals underwater.
I really wish that this wasn't the last movie in this series because I just want to see more. I just want to see how far this man is willing to go for a mission that's so-called impossible. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the full review. So, here is your spoiler warning right now.
Spoiler alert.
And let's get into the reasons for the rating. This movie was a PG-13 action thriller, and yeah, it really nails it for that. So let's talk about it.
Language!
Funnily enough, there was only one bad word used in this entire movie. 3 hours long, mind you, and it was the B word. That's it! It's amazing, because now you can see just how awesome a movie can be without the crutch or use of swearing.
It's not necessary.
I got through half of the movie before I sat there and was like, was there any swearing before this? Cause like, have I just like blacked out? So I turned to my dad, I was like, Dad, have you heard any swearing so far in this movie? And he was like, no.
How awesome was that?
It was right at the end, they say son of a bee, and that's it. Seriously, you can make amazing movies without the use of swearing at all. And this movie proves it.
Time for violence.
This movie wasn't extremely violent. In fact, I think the first movie was a little bit more intense in terms of violence. But it certainly had its moments. So there were several fight scenes in this movie, physical fight scenes, and it was basically just physical blows. None of them really led to like blood or grotesque bodily harm, you know what I mean?
Okay, oddly enough, I actually understood that.
I think the only physical fight scene that had some blood attributed to it, like cuts and bruises and junk, was when they were in a torture chamber. And yes, I should also mention there was a torture scene, but no torture happened. They were just in a chamber.
Nice place you got here.
Ethan Hunt, while in this chamber, did take a fake suicide pill. It was meant to trick his captors into getting close so that he could escape. So no torture happened, it's just a fun little fight scene, and then he escaped. There were also a few gunfights in this movie, and 2 major bombs that went off in this movie.
What was this thing with all these numbers?
One of which killing Luther, which sucked. Also, there was the threat of nuclear warfare throughout this movie due to the AI, but it didn't happen. 2 people bit the dust off screen due to being shot, and 1 person was wounded by a gunshot wound, but was able to recover by the end of the movie due to impromptu surgery.
You expect me to perform surgery under these conditions?
The impromptu surgery that happened was just a little slit that was cut here and then an open pin jabbed through so that his lung wouldn't collapse so they could breathe again. You didn't see the pin being jabbed and you also didn't see the slit being cut. You were mostly focused on the face of the person who was doing that. So you could kind of hear it, but it wasn't bad at all.
Ew.
Lastly, a lackey was thrown off of a plane without a parachute, so he fell to his death. And then also the big main villain besides the AI jumped out of the airplane with the parachute, but the jump wasn't very good. He ended up hitting his head on the tail end of the plane, which kind of like knocked him out. I think either that or it kind of split his head open and he died just then. But like there was some blood, but he might have just been knocked out and then fell to his death as well. And that's it.
Oh no.
Overall, I give this movie an 8 out of 10. Now, I gotta say it again. I give this movie a solid 8 out of 10, having not seen any other Mission Impossible movie before it. That's how good it was. It was very good as a standalone movie. I think anyone would understand it. They will get a little bit lost in the flashbacks of the beginning, but the overall story, you will understand.
It's all coming together.
And to go a little further, I loved the cool action of this movie, the really fun story, and the fact that everyone I liked lived at the end, besides Luther, unfortunately. I mean, I liked this movie so much that I wanted to just consume the other Mission Impossible movies.
We live and die in the shadows.
And saying that, you clearly know a sequel or an eightquel is really good when you want to just consume the movies that came before it. Most times, sequels kind of put folks off, but this was great. Although, after I watched the original, I think this movie would get like a 6 or a 7 for me. In terms of the first movie, it just comes down a little bit, because the first movie was just so good.
That's okay, I get it.
That movie is like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. But seriously, this movie was still really good. And you know, I might come back for a little short after I watch all the movies to give you a rating on which Mission Impossible is the best and the worst for me. So, be on the lookout for that. Eventually that'll happen. I've got hours of movies to go through.
What if I watch them all tonight?
But yes, I definitely recommend watching this movie, and I definitely recommend watching this movie after you watch the first ever Mission Impossible.
Wrap that up and give it to a child on Christmas, because we're done.
So hey, yeah, that was the review. Thank you so much for watching it. Make sure you comment down below your thoughts, and if there's a specific movie that you want me to review. Also, like and subscribe. Also, if you click right here, you can go straight to my Lilo and Stitch review. Spoiler alert, it wasn't good. And then right down here is a playlist for the Candid Cinema podcast. And if you click right here, you can go straight to my channel and watch everything else. Thank you so much for watching, and just remember, right here at Candid Cinema, it's okay to talk, it's okay to text, and I will see you later. Bye!